Hello there, this is Dan here from retrotowers.co.uk, and this video here is just an overview demonstration weighing out the pros and cons of this device we have right here. Now this is a handheld clone console for Game Boy Advance games. Now some of these clone consoles are a lot better than others, some aren't so great, some have some of the features they do really well with and other features not so much. But with this one here, you'll be able to see for yourself by the end of it how well this one matches up. So as you can see from the box, this is what it will be looking like. You have the screen in the middle, the buttons on one side, the D-pad on the other, the start and select in the top and left right hand corners. And also you've got the title down below, the name of the product, which is the Retrospex 32. So now here's an important little fact about the product, and that is it doesn't actually have a Game Boy Advance cartridge input slot. So you cannot actually put physical Game Boy Advance games in there like Madagascar and Wario Land 4. They will not fit inside the Retrospex 32. And instead there is a little slot for an SD card to go in. And what you're going to have to do is get some Game Boy Advance files on that SD card, and then you can play whatever Game Boy Advance game you want on the SD card. But that's just an important little fact you've got to know, because it doesn't actually play the games themselves. You've got to have the digital format to play them on this thing. Okay, so now looking inside the box, what we actually have in there is an AV cable, similar to a lot of other clone consoles nowadays. There's a 3.5mm jack to an AV cable, so you can actually play it on your TV instead of using the screen here. There's the USB charger for connecting it to your mains outlet, and an instruction manual, all in clear English, so it's easy to understand and read up. And then obviously last but not least, there is the Retrospex 32 itself. Now looking at the exterior of the Retrospex 32, what we can see is the D-pad on one side. It's like a circle type shape, but you push left, you push right, it's going to move in that direction. You have the speakers down the bottom, on the bottom left hand side, where all the sound's going to be coming out. The select and start in the top left and right corners. You have the Abxy buttons. Now the problem with this Abxy button is, like on the actual Game Boy Advance, the B and the A would have been the other way round. So when you're playing a game now with this thing, you're going to have to kind of relearn the way the controls. Depends how long you've been playing a Game Boy Advance for, but if you've been playing it a lot, you're going to be kind of conditioned into thinking B will be the one closest to the screen. Whereas with this one here, they've turned around, they've switched them around totally. It's the opposite with this. So A is the one closest to the screen, B is the one far away. But also there is no L and R buttons on this. There are no left and right triggers. Instead you have to use the X and Y buttons to do that, to do what you want with that. I mean, which could be a problem if you like to play games maybe like Mario Kart, where power sliding is a common thing people use, stuff like that. And on top of the Retrospex 32, we just have the volume wheel to turn the sound up and down. You have the SD card slot where you put the SD card into, and you have the 3.5mm jack to AV cable for connecting it to your TV, and obviously just a USB charging point. On the back the battery, and on the bottom just the power on, power reset, power off switch. Now I'm going to put the SD card into the SD card input slot, and then turn it on by flicking the switch on the bottom right hand side of the device. Firstly, I'm just going to be playing one of the built-in games that comes with the Retrospex itself. This one's called Quak. Just showing you what it's like and how it plays on this console. It's actually a homebrew game, so it's not officially licensed by any of these official companies. It's made by a small group of people who just decided to make it themselves. And this is it here. So as you can see, it's playing reasonably well. There is no visible lag. The sound is perfectly fine. The buttons are responsive. One big problem that I found with the Retrospex was actually that it can't actually save, it doesn't save your data. So when I quit the game and come back again, my save data will be totally gone. So I'm never going to be able to play that save game again, which can be a problem. If you like to play games that do require saving, like long RPGs for example, or any other game out there that benefits from the saving feature ability. So that is actually quite a big problem in my opinion. Now I'm just going to turn off the device, turn it back on again by resetting it, and we're back to the main menu. But this time, instead of choosing one of these built-in games, I'm going to the bottom, to the SD card folder, open that up, and in here we have this game that I have downloaded from the internet called Snake. Now there are hundreds, probably even thousands of homebrew games on the internet you can download to play on this, or you can use it to play backups of games that you already own physical copies of. So for me, an example would be the game Madagascar. However, in this video, I will not be showing that as an example. I'm just going to show this game here called Snake. It's just a remake of the game Snake, where you're a snake, you've got to eat food to get bigger by moving your arrow keys up, down, left and right, while avoiding any of the 4 walls and going back on your own body. You're just going to try and get as big as possible. Really, you've just got to try and beat your own best score. It's quite a simple game, quite basic, but really fun, really enjoyable. And as I said before, instead of this, there are hundreds, probably even thousands of other homebrew games I could be playing instead, or even some of the actual Game Boy Advance games themselves, but I just chose to play this one. And now I'm just going to display the Retrospex 32's audio and video onto my TV screen. Doing this, I'm just using the AV cable that came with the console itself, so that's 3.5mm jack to AV cable, plugging one end into my TV, the other into the Retrospex. And the game I'll be showing you is another one of the built-in games. This one is called Mazejam, and the idea of this game is quite simple. It's a puzzle game where you're this character and you've got to transport yourself from one end of the castle to the other, moving the tables and cauldrons in whichever direction allows you to accomplish that mission. And that is pretty much it as far as the Retrospex 32 goes. Yes, you also can play Game Boy Advance ROM files on there. If you would like to see what the gameplay actually looks like for those games, then I would recommend you to check out other videos made by different channels on YouTube. And then that pretty much concludes this video. But what I will do now is show you a list of what my personal opinion is on the pros and cons of this product. So the big problems I had with the device was the A and B buttons having been swapped round, there being no L and R shoulder buttons and instead having to use the X and Y buttons and having no ability to save games. Other than that, there were no real problems that would have an effect in swaying a decision on whether to buy one or not. Everything else about it was pretty much okay as far as clone consoles go. So I've just got 3 of the pros right there. Emulates the game very smoothly, no lag, and sound emulating properly. And that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for getting this far into the video. If you liked it, please hit that like button, please hit that favourite button. If you want to see more videos we have on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you are interested in this product or any of the other products that we do sell on our website, retrotowers.co.uk, then please check out that website and see if anything there interests you. Once again, thank you, and I hope to see you again in a future video.